Hi, everybody. We are going to talk in one moment with Taro Daniel. He is a Japanese professional tennis player. He has two nationalities, the American, he was born in New York in America, and the Japanese, 112 in the world. So let's see if we can get the connection. And we're going to talk with him.
Hi.
Hi, Taro.
How's it going?
How are you?
Good, thanks. You?
You are in Tokyo right now.
Yeah, currently Tokyo. I was just in Kobe. I just finished a tournament today.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, and I just got back right now.
But you played an exhibition. It was an exhibition tournament.
It's like a 3-day tournament, round robin, and then if you pass the round robin group, you go to semis, and then you play finals. 6 matches in 3 days, pretty tough, but I won it, so.
Congratulations! That's great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, who did you play any? Who did you play in the final?
In the final, I played this young guy, Yuta Shimizu. He's like 300 in the world.
Yes, I know him.
Yeah, lefty, very tricky player. But in semis, I played Tatsuma Ito.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
great.
Definitely good 3 days to get some matches. Very nervous, haven't played matches in a while, so.
Yeah. Like everybody, of course. You. I think you would like to start the tour, right? The ATP tour.
Yeah, for sure. There are a lot of skeptic voices right now. A lot of players are saying we don't want to go because it's dangerous. I would rather try and start the season.
Yeah.
And take hard precautions.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think most players say the same thing that you just said. The most players want to play. It's their job and they love their job. So I think it's the best way to try it and be careful and just play.
Yeah, because we don't know when the vaccine is coming, and are we really going to wait until it really comes, or it's a tricky situation. I understand the people who want to wait, obviously, but I'm definitely on the side of wanting to start things back.
I understand that. Simona Halep announced that she doesn't want to go to the United States. She won't play. She will not play the U.S. Open, and she won't go. She will not go there.
Yeah,
I think she is.
It's a pretty bold statement, I guess, because it's pretty tough to decide so early if you want to go or not. But when you're a top player, you have more leverage.
Yeah, it's to respect. We have to respect that.
Yeah.
You currently live in Japan, but you have a house in Florida, in the United States, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm a resident in Florida, but when Indian Wells got canceled, or when Miami got canceled, the situation in Japan wasn't that bad compared to Europe or in the States. Yeah. So I came here, and I have the National Training Center here to train in.
Great.
So I came here. Things here were a lot better than in Europe for sure. For a couple months. So,
in the United States, it's a disaster. It's a disaster.
In the U.S. now, it's just so bad, and Europe was bad till a month or two ago. Here, they're not allowed to do a lockdown. The government can't impose a lockdown, so they can only be like, please be careful, please keep your distance. But most people follow the rules here.
I think for the Japanese people, it's very easy. You the Japanese people are very disciplined, so it's not difficult. It's not difficult. In the United States, it's other thing, and South America, and even a bit in Europe. But for you Japanese people, it's an easy thing. You just do that, and no problem.
Because I mean, also for the coronavirus situation started a lot earlier here.
Yeah.
You know, when it started in China around January, Japan got its first few cases in February already.
Yep.
And they were already kind of starting to do some social distancing and way before in the I was in the US in February, end of February, early March. Yeah, and when Indian Wells got canceled, we were like, oh, what the hell? Like, there's only one case. But yeah, then now all this craziness. So.
Yeah. Okay. So when you were 14 years old, you went to Spain.
Yeah.
You went to Valencia in Spain, and there you started training with at the David Ferrer Academy. That's true.
In Tennis Val.
Yeah. Okay. And your coach or your trainer was I got it here written. Jose Altur.
Yeah.
Right. Why did you go to Spain?
Well, so my dad was always he always wanted to live either in somewhere in Europe, or in Argentina. And you know, we were decent tennis players, me and my sister. My sister was better at the time. She was the more promising one. But and then he wanted to, you know, kind of keep working, obviously, with his job, because his company has a few different branches all over the place. So he was looking for places where he could work, but we could also, you know, pursue tennis a little bit more seriously. And ideally, somewhere in a Latin country.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tried, you know, going to Sanchez Casal in Barcelona, and then we went to Tennis Val in Valencia. It was a lot smaller than Sanchez Casal, but it was for us it was a lot better. I mean, because the quality of the coaches was very high, and then a lot less players. And it was in the middle of a rice field, and
lots of players, lots of foreign players come to Spain.
A lot of good players from that academy. Because Staffen used to practice there. Ferrer, Safina, Pablo Andújar. A lot. Annabelle Medina.
There's in Spain. There's a lot of good academies, good tennis academies, and lots of foreign players come to Spain. I think it's because of quality. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but such a lot of players come here. I think it's a question of quality, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, you know, it was the style of teaching tennis there it applied better to tennis a few years ago than right now. But still, I think the quality is very high because they simplify many things. Some academies in the world now, I see they use a bunch of, you know, rubber bands and cones and fancy exercises. But there it's very simple. You know, you start with cross courts, but like you have to hit the ball really hard, and you just keep consistency, and then you start, you know, moving side to side.
That's right. Yep.
Two cross, one line, and then, you know, you don't hit down the line unless it's obviously
right. Unless it's a winner.
Yeah. Or like no drop shots, and you know, we had all these rules in our academy, very strict rules. Yeah, that for sure made me the player I am today.
Yep, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then a few years ago, you went away from Spain and you settled in the United States again, in Florida. Florida is another place where lots of people, lots of players, lots of good players settle down, and they start living and training out there. Why Florida?
Well, I think it's a lot cheaper than living in somewhere like California or New York. Yeah. In the 80s, 70s, there were a lot more players from California and from the East Coast. But I think Florida is just, they have a lot of space and you have so many tennis courts. And I think they were lucky to have, a few of the first players. And then IMG Academy, back then it was Bollettieri, but players like Sharapova, Agassi, Haas, who were able to promote the region really well. Yeah. And then, it's just generally, I think for professional players, it's a lot cheaper to live there, and then you have all those players there to practice with, and generally good weather. So, that's
okay. You are a top 100 player. 112. I don't, if I'm not wrong, but 2-3 years you're in the top 100. Is it more difficult to reach the top 100, or is it more difficult to stay there?
I think it's a different type of difficulty. Yeah. Because it's hard to explain, but making top 100 is very difficult because that's the place you want to get to. Any tennis player.
It's the goal. It's the goal of every player. Everyone wants to be top 100. It's like
even someone like Federer or Djokovic, for sure they have thought when they were 150, for sure they were thinking, I want to be top 100.
First top 100, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a very visible goal that is very difficult. But it gets very, very difficult to stay in there.
Yep.
Once you're there, because tennis, the points drop pretty quickly. Every year you got to keep renewing your points, and and then also I think I made top 100 for the first time when tennis started changing a little bit, because when I was playing challengers 5 years ago, the level was a little bit lower than now. I've played challengers now or last year. I feel like it's a lot more difficult to beat players that are like 300 or 250 compared to 5 years ago when I'm beating players 250 and 300 for sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a lot more work to do well in a challenger now than it used to be. Also, I think the challengers in Asia, for example, like, they had challengers in China or in Japan. They were a lot weaker 5 years ago than now. Yeah.
Than now. Yeah. I think to reach in the top 100 it's a question of work hard. You need to have talent, of course, but work hard. And to stay there, it's more a mental question. Would it be so?
Yeah, it's a mix. It depends for each player, but once you make the top 100 and you start making a little bit more money and you get in directly to Grand Slam main draws, you really want to keep yourself in there to start being more financially doing well. Yep. And then it's very easy to get distracted and put a lot of pressure on yourself when you're there.
Yeah.
And that I struggled with that a lot last year because I had a really good year in 2018 when I finished 70 and I made my career high 64. Yep. But then, the year after, I had a couple weeks where I was like, okay, I'll go to challengers to get points. With that mentality. And then I go there, first round, I play these guys who are 250, 300, and it's tough.
Yep.
So, it's very easy to get distracted. Also, like, it's very easy to forget that people who are 200, 300 are really good players. And because, even, we always say, like, we need to give more attention to these players lower in the ranking. But even us, we look at the ranking and we're like, oh, he's like 50, he's so good, and then he's like 150, so he's so. Well, that's not the case, But yeah, for sure, for me, it's been mental, but also, I think they go hand in hand, technical part and the mental part.
Yep. Okay. Your coach since 1 year is Sven Groeneveld.
Yeah.
It's a Dutchman. He's my countryman.
Oh,
and, he's a great coach. He's very famous. He worked with lots of fantastic players. How does he help you? What are you working on now?
Well, we're working a lot on like a lot of smaller details with technique. I've never, one thing in Spain, training in Spain that they don't do a lot is working on technique. So, for sure, doing some stuff on my forehand, because I struggle to, for example, when I play on a faster court to, get counter with power on my forehand side, or like, hit a good running forehand, or things with serve, like little biomechanical stuff that I've never worked on, that are working really well right now, I think.
Okay.
And I think also even it's good that the coronavirus thing is happening in a way, because I have more time to work on the technique.
That's right, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's very hard to, solidify that just in those 4 weeks during the off season in December.
Yeah. You had you said you had a difficult year last year, but you had some fantastic results. For instance, in Tokyo, you won Borna Koric.
Yeah.
Borna Koric is an absolute top player. You won after that match. You won Jordan Thompsons, yeah. And then you lost to John Millman. I think that was a good tournament. And besides, it was at your home, and with all the people. I think you had a good week there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a few good weeks last year. I mean, even if I struggled, I had, I made a few quarterfinals in ATPs, not just 500, but 250s. And yeah, I mean, I definitely know that I can, do well in these bigger tournaments. But last year, the struggle was more with just accepting that, like, sometimes you have to go down.
Yep.
To bring your ranking back up again.
Yeah.
And like, I was doing well in some of the ATP tournaments, but not well enough to just completely forget about challengers. So
I understand. Yes, of course.
Like, I'm in the main draw of ATPs, but I still have to play challengers in order to make US Open main draw, and then all those stuff start coming into your mind. And then if the technique is not like with you, then you struggle more mentally, and then it just it works together.
Yeah, so important the mental question, isn't it? It's if you mentally are everything is good, ordered. You don't have problems in your head. You're just focused on what you have to do, and I think that's the most important thing in a life of a professional player. Don't you think so?
For sure. But I think the mental part, it's not simply about the mind. It's just really controlling the things you can control. Like, there's a really there's like a phrase I really like from some book that, like, where they say, like, willpower doesn't mean shit. But the environment you create for yourself is what's more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
okay.
if you, if you're in a city and you're allowed to go out, then people are going to go out even if you're not supposed to. It's but if you're not allowed to go out, then the country has created a system where you're not allowed to go out. So it's the same with tennis that way. Like
Yes, of course, I understand that.
Concentrating on what you're supposed to be concentrating with the forehand or with the backhand, then your mind is concentrated on the right things instead of thinking about all the ranking and well, that's a very.
I understand. That's a great explanation. I understand you perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a bit about the Japanese tennis because it's totally in the lift. It's really good right now. Naomi Osaka and Kei Nishikori, I think they are big players and great examples now for the Japanese people. Do you think they helped so much in Japan that the Japanese people got more interested in tennis?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, if you're in Tokyo, like if you go to a tennis school, it's very difficult to get in.
Yes.
Because there's so much interest in tennis. I don't know how the situation was like 20 years ago with the tennis schools. Well, for sure, because of Kei and Naomi, there are a lot more kids interested in playing tennis. But the actual consequences, whether or not professional players will come out because of Kei or Naomi, we'll have to see in 10 years maybe.
Yes, you're right, of course.
Who grew up watching them are still young,
Yes.
But
yes,
I don't believe that the system here is good enough to create many top 100 or top 100.
Why not? What isn't so good in Japan to achieve that?
Well, it's just generally it's very difficult to be two-person on court here. It's you're always you get into a tennis school, you're playing maybe 8 kids on court, and then you're also always practicing on these synthetic grass courts or indoor courts where everything bounces perfectly but very low.
Yep.
So everybody in Japan, they have like really nice form, like very clean forehand, very clean backhand, nice looking serve. But when you take them, for example, to like some tournaments in the U.S. and where the ball's bouncing high, or or the ball's flying around because the balls are a little bit lighter, they struggle quite a bit.
Yes.
So
okay. I understand.
Conditions here are very they're adjusted more to the recreational player than for the professional players. So I heard that the reason why they have so many synthetic grass courts is not just for maintenance, but more for, the older ladies, for example, they don't want the ball bouncing high. It's easier for them to keep the rally going if the ball's not bouncing high. So
it's the synthetic grass courts are horrible.
Yeah, they're horrible for player development. Horrible. Yeah.
And I'm from Holland. I'm from Holland in the Netherlands, and they're almost not all courts, but lots of clubs, lots of courts are of that material. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah,
but it's cheaper. It's cheaper. So
cheaper, easy to fix.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's easier to play there. I mean, if you're a beginner or if you're, it's just I mean, because the ball gets heavier because it doesn't bounce so much, and then it's easier to keep the rally going.
Yeah. Okay. We are talking about Japan a while. Could you? This one is difficult. Could you indicate differences between Japan and the United States about the mentality of the people?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think U.S. is a very difficult place to generalize because there's just so many people from different cultures.
I agree.
And then you have the people in California who are more hippie, and then you have the people in the South who are more, they're more like Republicans, and then it's a country of a lot of conflict.
Yes,
and
for sure.
And they thrive on conflict. Everything on TV is about fighting and arguing and creating chaos. But at the same time, they have great movies and great entertainment value. They're really good businessmen and stuff like that. In Japan, it's a very, very unique culture. It's very almost extreme how obedient people are to rules.
Yep.
Which has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
And then, you have a place like, everything good about Japan has its flip side. The work, but that's like with anything, I guess. Yep. And then Europe is, I don't know, a little bit more relaxed in general. They're more about just kind of living.
Yeah.
In Europe, a lot more people are just like, oh, let's just go have a coffee on the streets and pass the day.
Yeah.
Because here, when you go have coffee in Tokyo, you have a pretty big purpose. Like, you don't just go to have coffee and chill. You go to have coffee because this coffee is really good in this place, and then there's way more into it than just having coffee. Yeah.
Okay, I understand that. I didn't know that. I have the idea I have about Japan is great discipline. People are very, very disciplined. That's a good thing. People work very, very hard.
Yeah.
I think too hard in general.
Yeah.
In general, too hard. With the earthquake in Japan, the tsunami, all the infrastructure, the highways were built in few days. In few days after the tsunami, that's tremendous. That's fantastic. But I see people suffer because of the hard work they do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're so good at controlling whatever that is predictable. So if it's like constructing a piece of chair, they're so good at making the quality of like simple things like a chair or a table here is very high. Or a toilet, the toilets are so good here compared to when you go to the U.S. or in Europe, the toilets are not so nice.
No.
But,
that's great. That's great.
Like here, they're so high quality, and it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And an assistant in LMCDKZ says that Japanese people have a group mentality. That's interesting.
Yeah, so they or we they're so in a company, the CEO, like, it's very difficult for like a new worker to go to the CEO and like present ideas. You do what he says. You keep working, you keep building your trust in that company, and then you get to the next position after a few years working your ass off, and then you get to the next position. It's very different. So you thrive here off of being a person that does not disturb other people, being a very good partner, doing your job and doing that job well.
Yep.
If it's simple, even if it's simple,
Yeah. The results of the industrial results are fantastic. In the car industry, Nissan, Mitsubishi, Toyota, lots of great brands, and in the electronics, the same thing, like Sony, Mitsubishi another time. So those are the results of the hard work, I think.
Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Japan is a fantastic country in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, when you get an air conditioner here, it never breaks. It's always it doesn't make so much noise, when the air conditioners or like dishwashers and then the plates and the cars, everything is just solid.
Great. Let's go back to tennis. I think there are 4 places, 4 tournaments, 4 scenarios you like to play. The first one, you played the Olympic Games in 2016.